Have you ever felt like you don't fully belong anywhere? Like you're in the group, but not really part of it? Like everyone else got a rule book for life, and somehow you miss the memo. Maybe you think differently. Maybe you feel deeper. Maybe you notice things other people ignore. And sometimes you wonder, why am I not like everyone else? Here's the truth most people don't realize. Feeling different isn't random. It's psychological. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of people who feel different from everyone. And stay with me until the end, because the last trait is the most important one. If you miss it, you might completely misunderstand your own uniqueness. Let's get into it. Introduction. In a world obsessed with fitting in, being normal, and following trends, feeling different can feel like a curse. You watch how easily other people connect. You see how naturally they blend into groups. And meanwhile, you're thinking, analyzing, questioning everything. But what if I told you this isn't a weakness? What if feeling different is actually a sign of something deeper? The people who feel different aren't broken. They're wired differently. And once you understand why, everything starts to make sense. So let's break it down step by step. Point 1. They think independently. Most people absorb opinions from their environment, but people who feel different, they question everything. They don't automatically agree just because everyone else thinks so. They don't follow trends blindly. They analyze before they accept. And that independence creates distance. When you don't think like the crowd feels unfamiliar. But here's the powerful part. Independent thinkers are usually leaders in disguise. They see angles others miss. They challenge norms. And even though it can feel isolating, it's a sign of mental strength. Now, this independence leads to something even deeper. Point 2. They feel emotions more deeply. People who feel different often experience emotions intensely. They don't just feel happy, they feel overwhelmed with joy. They don't just feel sad, they feel it in their chest. They absorb energy from rooms. They pick up on subtle tone shifts. They notice when something feels off. And because of this emotional depth, small talk feels exhausting. Surface-level conversations feel empty. They crave depth, meaning, realness. And when they don't find it, they feel disconnected. But this emotional awareness is not weakness. It's emotional intelligence. And that brings us to the next trait. Point 3. They observe more than they speak. Have you noticed that people who feel different are often quiet? Not because they have nothing to say, but because they're watching. They study how people interact. They analyze behavior. They notice contradictions. While others are busy trying to be seen, they're busy understanding. And here's the interesting part. The more you observe, the more you realize how predictable most social patterns are. That awareness can make you feel like you're outside the system, watching it instead of being fully inside it. But that perspective is powerful, because observers understand the game better than players. And that leads to something most people never talk about. Point 4. They value authenticity over approval. Many people adjust their personality to fit in, but people who feel different struggle with that. They can't fake interest for long. They can't pretend to agree just to be accepted. They can't wear a mask comfortably. And because they refuse to shrink themselves for approval, they sometimes stand alone. But here's the truth. Authenticity always feels lonely before it feels powerful. The world rewards conformity in the short term, but it rewards authenticity in the long term. And that brings us to the most important trait. Point 5. They're often ahead of their environment. This is the one you don't want to miss. Sometimes you feel different not because you're wrong, but because you've outgrown your current environment. Your mindset has shifted. Your values have evolved. Your awareness has expanded. But the people around you are still operating on old patterns. Growth creates separation. Awareness creates distance. And evolution feels lonely before it feels empowering. If you've been feeling different lately, ask yourself, have I changed? Because sometimes feeling different is proof that you're developing. And that leads us to the hidden truth. Hidden truth. Here's what most people never realize. The people who feel different often become the innovators, creators, and thinkers who change things. Why? Because comfort never creates progress. Fitting in never creates breakthroughs. Feeling different forces self-reflection. It forces independence. It forces growth. Yes, it can feel isolating, but isolation builds clarity, and clarity builds confidence. The difference you once saw as a flaw becomes your advantage. Conclusion. So what does this mean for you? It means you don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to shrink to match your surroundings. After watching this video, you'll understand why you feel different, how your mind actually works, why your depth is strength, how to turn isolation into self-awareness, and how to build confidence from your uniqueness. You'll stop asking, why am I not like everyone else? And start asking, how can I use this difference as power? Because different doesn't mean broken. Different means rare. And rare things aren't meant to blend in. They're meant to stand out. So if you've ever felt like you don't fully belong, maybe it's because you're not meant to follow the crowd. Maybe you're meant to lead yourself first. Stay aware. Stay authentic. And remember, the very thing that makes you feel different today might be the thing that makes you unstoppable tomorrow.